This is a Hindu idea, an Aryan, a Hindu idea. It's not Semitic. Semitic meaning that in the religion of Moses, Jesus and Muhammad, these are Semites. You know, Father Abraham, his children, they are Semitic people. Among the Semites, this idea of God becoming a man is unknown among the Semites. This is an Aryan idea. My ancestors, they believed that Rama was the 7th incarnation of God. Rama. Krishna was the 8th incarnation of God. Buddha was the 9th incarnation of God. And they believe in endless incarnations, that God Almighty keeps on coming into the world again and again as a man, as the need arises. He's the same God, one God, but that God in history, he comes into the world in different forms. Endless incarnations. Because they reason, my cousins, my ancestors, they reasoned. And their logic was very good about this idea of incarnation, God becoming a man. They said, you see, God Almighty, he's so pure, he's so holy, he's absolute holiness, like a holy robo. Now, what does this holy robo know? How I feel when I see a beautiful young thing. What does he know? I'm 69. You know, to you, father, grandfather, uncle, yes. But what does he know how I feel? Even now, at the age of 69, when I see a shapely thing, what does he know how I feel? What right has he to tell me that thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife? What does he know what is to covet? So to be qualified, he must come down to earth. He's born like any other human child, and as he's growing, in the absence of his father, somebody is trying to make love to his mother. He's too small to do anything about it, but he knows how he feels. As he's growing, somebody is trying to make love to his sister. He knows how he feels. He's married. Now somebody wants to take his wife out. He knows how he feels. So he's qualified to tell you, thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. He's qualified. That is the Hindu philosophy, the logic of God becoming a man. It is like some cynic said about His Holiness, the Pope, when he made his pronouncement on the pill about birth control. He's telling people you can't take the pill. But, you know, you must find out fertile period, infertile period. You know, when you come together with your wife, you must know fertile, infertile period. So somebody remarked, he said, the guy who doesn't play the game, what right has he to lay down the rules? Does the Pope play the games we play? Does he? No. Then what right has he to tell us when and when? So similarly, my Hindu cousins reason that God Almighty also, he must become a man to understand the problem of man. Logical, very logical. The Christian says, look, before Jesus, God did not incarnate. After Jesus, he will not incarnate. He is the only incarnation. It means the only time that God came into the world as a man, he came in the form of Jesus Christ. The Muslim, he says that God does not incarnate at all. He doesn't have to become a man to understand the problem of man. The Creator knows what he has created. If I made this table, I know what the table is. I don't have to become a table to understand the table. If I made this microphone, I know what I've made. I am qualified to tell you how to use it. If I made the Volkswagen Beetle, I don't have to become a Volkswagen Beetle to understand, to tell you about the Volkswagen Beetle. If I made it, I know what it is, and I can tell you how to use that machine of mine that I made. Similarly, we say, God Almighty, he made things, he knows his creation, and is qualified to tell you how to and how not to abuse this machine of his. He's qualified. So God does not incarnate. He doesn't become a man to understand the problem of a man. The Maker knows what he has made. What he does is, he chooses a man from among men, one of us, flesh and blood in all respects. But that person is so finely attuned, he's so sincere to God, that God Almighty communicates with him on a higher spiritual level, what we call revelation. It's like the electromagnetic waves of the spiritual world. This person, our brother, he receives them. He hears them. We are sitting by his side, but we don't. We are too coarse to apprehend those messages. He hears them on a higher level, and he conveys them to us on our human level, 600 miles an hour, sound wave. Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, and on and on. He's telling us on a human level. We say such a person is a prophet of God, is a mouthpiece of God, he's speaking the words of God, but he's not God. Anyone, none of them. Every prophet of God we love, respect and revere, reverence, but we say they are speaking God's words, but they are not God's. This is the Muslim stand. He doesn't say to the Hindu, he says, look, Rama is not God, Krishna is God, but Muhammad is God. He doesn't tell the Christian, he says, look, Jesus is not God, but Muhammad is God. No, he says nothing of the kind. He said, they are all his creatures, we must love them, respect them, revere them, follow them, but worship none but God, the Father in heaven, who is the real God. So Messiah, Masih, Jesus is the Messiah, he is the Masih, translated Christ. Now this expression Christ, does that make him into a God? The Christians think so. That this word Christ, he is the Christ. They are thinking that this is some type of a term to describe God in human form. No. What is Christ? Coming from the word Hebrew word Messiah, Arabic. Masih, coming from the root word Masaha in Arabic and Hebrew. Masaha means to rub, to massage, to anoint. Priests and kings were anointed in consecration to their offices. See, it's like the coronation ceremony, or like your graduation ceremony. Priests and kings in the good old days, they used to be anointed with holy oil or with water. So from today, you are our imam, you are our priest. Or from today, you are our ruler, you are our king, sovereign. Priests and kings, this thing was done to them. So we have the word Messiah. Means anointed, means appointed. That's what it means, appointed by God. So Jesus was a person appointed, anointed by God. A respectful position. And this is not a unique term in the Bible. In the Quran it is unique. In the Quran he is the only one mentioned by that term, that liqab, that title, Masih. Only Jesus. But in the Bible, this is a very common expression. Messiah, Masih. You read there in the Bible, in this book of mine, Christ in Islam. I don't know whether they are available here, but from South Africa we give them free. We have printed over 200,000 so far, free distribution. I give you references. So many references from the Bible, where this word is used for other beings. And things, not only humankind, but inanimate objects. Anointed, the word you find is anointed. Anointed, the priests were anointed. The horns of the anointed, you know, they were those crown-like things, old-fashioned. They used to have horns on them, you know, to show that how fierce they were, you see, those rulers. Horns were anointed. Pillars, you know, column were anointed. Columns were anointed. It says pots and pans were anointed. What is this? Anointed. Pots and pans. Hebrew, in the Hebrew Bible, the word is Messiah. Pots and pans were Messiah. Pillars were Messiah. Were made Messiah of pillars. So you have pillar Messiah, you have pots, you know, pots and pans. You know, the ladies cook with, in cooking. You see, sometimes I know common terms, you know, I get puzzled. You see, because people might not have heard expressions like chalk and cheese. When I went to Canada, I found difficulty. You see, among the English-speaking peoples in Britain and in the colonies, chalk and cheese is a common expression. You know, chalk, the white chalks of Dover, you know, cliffs of Dover. They know that it is made of chalk, and we used to use blackboard on which we used to write with chalk. So in Canada I'm talking about chalk and cheese, means poles apart. You know, they look alike. Chalk and cheese might look alike, but you can't eat chalk, but you can eat cheese. Means poles apart, though they look alike. And they didn't know what I was talking about. Somebody had to draw my attention and said, these people don't know what chalk and cheese is. They know crayons. You see, crayon. They talk about crayon. They don't talk about chalk writing on the blackboard. Difficulty. Pots and pans. You people understand pots and pans? You know, vessels that you use for cooking? I'm glad. I'm not, you know, it can happen I'm speaking English, but maybe it's of a type that you might not be, you know, used to. So pots and pans were anointed. In Hebrew, Messiah. In Greek, Christos.